Hello, this is Palico Padge and welcome to a new Sleepy Sunday Let's Play with the game 80 Days by Inkle and Cape Guy. That's two separate people. They're limited. It says limited after their names, but I think that takes away the personal touch of it when you make it as like a faithless corporation. So it's just going to be Inkle and Cape Guy. But what is 80 Days if you've been living under a rock and you don't know what it is? It is basically a world traveling narrative adventure game where you are playing the assistant of Phileas Fogg, and you are tasked with helping him get around the world in whichever way you see fit within 80 days. This has a kind of steampunky sort of feel to it. There are mystical air machines which we will be hopefully traveling on, and generally it's a lovely little game to play. I say little, I've played this through once and I went from England easterly around the world. I can't believe it. All the games I play, and I still can't tell you straight off which way I'm going via the compass. But yeah, it was an easterly way. And this time around, I thought, why not bring it to the channel and we'll go westerly. So we shall go towards the Americas and then see where it takes us. But I am jumping ahead of ourselves. I've literally just loaded up the game from when I completed the last one, and it has prompted me with this, so we shall start here. London, 1872. I have entered into the service of a new gentleman. It would seem, and that means because it's flashing on it, we need to click on it. He is a gambling man. Here we go. Inkle presents in association with Cape Guy. See, there's no limited there. There's no limited there. 80 days! Oh, there was a little bit of a title screen that came up with lots of people's names. I've probably cut that out of this video, but hey ho, 80 days! And obviously it's based on the Jules Verne novella. And yes, we're going to start in London. London town, let's do this. Oh, London. Oh, London. So, my master returned home from the Reform Club with a strange gleam in his eye. "Passpartout," he said. "We are going around the world. Pack my hunting rifle and my evening jacket. There is not a moment to waste." You, Passpartout, now have funds. Awesome. So we have up here £4,000, which, believe it or not, doesn't get you too far. We're on day one, and as you can see, we've got the time of 7 p.m. And it's a Tuesday. I'm not sure if that matters too much, but hey-ho, it's a Tuesday. Then up. We could go up. We've got the screenshot, which we won't bother. I'm recording it. No need to take a screenshot. We've got the settings. You don't need to worry about that. And this down here is our faithful, I say faithful, we're the faithful one, but this is Phileas Fogg down here, and he has a health bar, which can deteriorate depending on how you travel. But again, we'll go into that as we travel. So let us crack on. So first things first, it opens up a viable route for you. You don't have to go that way if you don't want to. But anyway, quickly, Passpartout, collect our things, and we will be off. Well, let's pack up then. So, as it stands right now, we only have the one suitcase. You can buy more, and you are restricted by how many suitcases you can take through varying ways of travelling. I don't think it's specific to a certain way of travelling. It just depends on the route and how much they're allowing you to take. As it stands now, though, we have the evening jacket, which is a well-fitting, neatly tailored Savile Row, no less, evening jacket. Priceless. So, yeah, we're going to take that, obviously, and then I'll slide in there. Right, so let's have a look at the time, European time. We'll start that again. European train timetable. Now, when you find any timetables, you can equip them into your pack or your suitcase, and it will show you all the available trains or planes or boats, whatever it is that you've collected in the local area. And then what I will be doing is selling it back for a lesser price, but at least you get to see the routes, and you don't actually need to keep it in order to be able to see where the rest of the routes are. This time around, though, I'm just wondering if I press nothing on here, am I going to lose the fact I can take a rifle? A hunting rifle, the only thing that will stop a charging bear in its tracks. Then again, it is valuable in Paris. We're very close to Paris. I have no idea where Thessaloniki is, or Odessa, I presume that would be. I don't know. What are these? We've got wool shirts. You can always trust a man in a well-starched woolen shirt. Oh, that's part of the gentleman's wardrobe. So we'll need to keep that. And then wool trousers. So that is as well. I mean, do we wing it? I'm really scared if I close this, I'm not going to be able to pick up the gun again. And that's easy money. Then again, we have got 4,000. I'll tell you what. Let's leave it and see if we can come back. And as you can see, that is the trains. Haha. Oh. Berlin to Warsaw. Right. So, yes, we can pack again. So let's go back in. And now we can pull this back out. No need for that now. We know where we're going. We've memorised it. And we can take our rifle. Awesome. Awesome. We must discover our route as we go. Onwards. So, well, hey-ho. So it looks like we can only travel to Paris for the time being. We can't go to Snowdon. But then again, who wants to go to Snowdon? Reykjavik at the top there. You know, it's a big world. It's a big world. Look at all these places you can go. It's ridiculous. We're not going to get too bogged down in this. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. We'll go to Paris and sell our gun. Get a bit more cash, and then we'll try and head westerly. Yes, I've done it again. Let's embark. The Amphitrite Express to Paris, departing now. So we only allowed the one suitcase, which is fine, because that's all we've got. And this looks like a bearable option, so... hey-ho, let's do this. Oh. So as you can see, we have a mechanical horse. That's generally quite a rough way of travelling, I feel. You know, it's not pretty. We leapt aboard the 825 from Charing Cross as the final whistle shrieked its warning. Our journey had begun. Awesome. I'm in fine form, but we must make haste. So we can talk to the guy. We can also talk to other people who we're travelling with. Greetings, Monsieur Verne. Passpartout, did you say your name was? What a curious appellation. I'm not going to do a French accent. I mean, I could, but it's probably going to be highly racist. So we'll just leave that restaurant. I don't mind putting on the fine gentleman's accent. It comes pretty easily to me, being a dapper guy myself. But yeah, we'll leave the French and the rest of the worldly accents out of it. So, begin conversation. Ask Monsieur Verne about Paris. Now, depending on who you've got, you can actually ask people about several destinations, and if they know about them, they will be able to help you out, be it with what to look for in a certain city or how to get to a certain city. So it does pay to talk to people. I need to know about Paris. I love the smell of Seine in the morning. I think it's Seine, could be Seine. And as you can see, we have lots of different ways of going around here. So what I found in my first playthrough is, depending on where you choose, depends on how much they are with their local knowledge. Generally, if it's a close port or city to where you are heading to or heading from, then you've got more chance of them answering in the positive and being able to contribute to your knowledge. Whereas if you choose somewhere really far away, they're not going to know anything about it. So, for instance, Paris to Nice isn't that far. I'm sure he would know something about this. Is there a route from Paris to Nice? Yes, I met a man who used to talk about the Pyrenees Express from Paris to Nice. There we go. So because he knows, that's great. How about Nice to Rome? That seems logical. Or should we ask him about Nice? Let's ask him about Nice. What more can you tell me about Nice? The Riviera is only just becoming fashionable because of the train. And goodbye. You see, as you do get a limited option on how many questions you can ask. Now, there are certain things you can carry on your travels which you can offer to that person in order to be able to extend that to ask more questions. But again, we'll come across that as and when we go. So there we go. We have a direct link. Now, the way you usually get direct links is to actually go to a city and walk about the town and see who you come across and who you interact with. Being able to talk to them can give you a sort of pre-destination to the next place if you want to go there without having to think about looking for routes, which can in turn save you time. With all that being said, I've got all this to say now. The Amphitrite Express rattled along narrow gauge routes to Dover, where its fins extended and it plunged directly into the channel. Monsieur Fogg made no remark as the dark water pressed against our windows. I thought it so marvellous at the time, but how many marvels were still to come? Lots. Lots. Look at that. Beautiful. Look how fast the time's going. That is scary. We splashed up onto the rails at Calais and closed the remaining miles to Paris Gare du Nord quickly. Is that how you say it? I think that's how you say it. According to today's paper, Monsieur Fogg remarked, the Orient Express now runs as far as Bucharest. So, there's another trip for us, if we so choose. Amphitrite Express. Boom. And into Paris we go. So, let's just go through what is going on here. We have the explore button, which means we will be walking around town and just seeing who we can interact with. We have the bank, where we can withdraw more funds if need be, but we don't at the moment. And we have the market. The market tends to consist of local items which you can buy, and obviously items you've got you can sell, and depending on where you are, it means that the price can fluctuate on what you get offered for those items. So for instance, the caliber rifle, we won't press that again, the caliber rifle, because it's worth a lot in Paris, we get it for 590. If we were to take it elsewhere, it'd probably be worth between half to 2/3 that. So it's worth selling right here. Boom, money, profit, awesome. Right, so tucked away in the 7th arrondissement is my favourite market street. We could buy a driving cap, which is only £2. A flat cap with good visibility for driving, but surprisingly warm all the same. It's only £2, we can afford that. Chateau de Quem wine, a magnificent bottle of Chateau de Quem 1860. Fine year, I tell you, fine year. Worth 1900 in Copenhagen. And then we have the Inkle crackers, cracker biscuits. A packet of crackers, rather dry without cheese, but they keep well. Of interest to poor, earnest and prim types. That's worth keeping because that will buy us some sort of extra little secret, I'd have thought. Now, the only thing is about me jibber-jabbering playing this game is our time continues to run down. So, oh, wrong button. So I need to keep this at a minimum. And let's go and... do we want to go to the hotel now? Or should we... Let's go to the hotel, then we can have an explore around after. So, we'll pass the night here. We took a hotel for the night. We will be comfortable here, Monsieur Fogg remarked, but travelling overnight will often be more efficient. So we must board the longest journeys available, or where possible. Now, as you can see, there is a certain amount of multiple choice questions you can answer, and it does affect the way that both Monsieur Fogg and other people you interact with will view you in, one for a better word. So I will put where possible, because I'm a hesitant guy. I don't want to look too deeply into things. I really don't want to be promising things which I can't deliver on. So we'll say where possible. We cannot travel where it is not possible, certainly, he replied. Still, the surrounds of the Hotel Ritz was most enjoyable. Of course. The clock is ticking. Passpartout, we must decide our next steps quickly. So let's have a quick look. So, oh, that's rather quick. So we could go up to Amsterdam. That's going to take 3 days and it'll be via car. We can then travel to either Munich, Vienna, Budapest or Bucharest via the train. But that's going to take a little bit longer as well. Ideally, I'd like to travel down into Africa and then across westerly that way. We could possibly go to Nice. But I'll tell you what. Let's have a quick explore around, see what's going on. So we found our way to Amsterdam. The Exposition Universelle sprawled over the grounds of the purpose-built Palais de Champ de Mars. Hot air balloons sailed gently across the sky, and the powdery light of the Yablokov candles gleamed invitingly. Now we can say I was flooded with memories of the siege of Paris and my own small part in it, or I suppressed my memories of the siege and visited the exposition, or the memories of the siege were too painful and I stayed locked up in my room. Well, I like to think I'm a worldly guy, and we are going to become a worldly person. So we're going to suppress our memories and go and have a look at the exposition, I think. I headed towards the red and purple tents of the Artificers Guild. Now, they pop up quite a lot, I've noticed, so that's definitely an open way we can go. I took a stroll down the Avenue of Nations. I went west towards the airship hangar. Now, I think as far as us being able to travel around, we really need to keep the travelling options as open as possible. So, with that being said, I'm gonna skip the culture. We'll get plenty of culture. We're travelling around the world, for Christ's sake. We're going to go straight to the airship hangar. I went west towards the airship hangar, past a booth with a husband and wife pair selling panoramic hot air balloon rides to eager tourists. I inquired as to their hourly rate, or the hangar was crowded with airships. I mean, we don't even know where they're going. Whereas we've got more chance of seeing lots of airships who may be going in other directions. So I think the hangar was crowded with airships is a valid answer there. The hangar was crowded with airships and flying vehicles of all shapes and sizes, attended by sharp-eyed crews from all over the world, and my eye was immediately caught by the African-made rigid metal balloon, the gilded Egyptian Ifrit-class airship, the metal-clad four-propeller Savaka Atomic, the bulky coal gas-powered Ottoman Gaic, or the twin-bladed Peruvian gyrocopter. Well, Egyptian is North Africa, and then you've got the African-made, which I suppose would be a lot more sort of roundabouts in Africa. So let's go with the African-made rigid metal balloon of hammered copper and tin called a Shaba Meli. You are lucky, friend, the smiling Tutsi mechanic waved at me with a spanner still in her fist. This is the first Shaba Meli to be seen in Europe. She tucked her spanner back into her belt and added sadly, what terrible weather you suffer here. It's not even properly winter yet. I don't even know when it is. What time of year it is. It's a Thursday. That's generally a bad day. Now, I did not know Africans made their own airships. Well, we don't want to presume anything about anyone, really. That's quite narrow-minded. So, it's not even probably winter yet, I retorted, a little stung. I'd always thought October to be a most delightful time to experience Paris. October! Of course, of course. Should have been able to tell by the sky. It gets worse, she shivered and tucked her hands into her pockets. You poor creatures. I raised my eyebrows. How fast does the Shaba Meli go, or where is your home? Let's find out where she's from. Aboard the Jelani, which makes her route from Khartoum to Ijiji in a day, she replied promptly, though her eyes dimmed a bit. I hope the captain doesn't replace me while I'm gone. Perhaps one day soon, Monsieur Fogg and I would find ourselves flying in such a craft. I returned to the exposition centre, my thoughts turning with clouds and engine rotors. Avenues sprawled in every direction between the inviting, illuminated pavilions of the exposition. So, where do I want to go next? Again, Artificers Guild keep popping up. But I think let's do the Avenue of Nations. I don't know what's going to cut us off from this line of inquiry. So I don't want to be going to the Artificers Guild and then finding I can't go down the Avenue of Nations. So we'll do the Avenue of Nations next. It was lined with buildings in the styles of the nations of the world and manned by foreign delegates in national dress. Although the newly formed German Empire was a conspicuous absentee or a most electric sight. I mean, we could find out more about Germany. I think if I'm going to head anywhere, though, it's probably going to be south to Nice. So let's say a most eclectic sight. Oh, that's it. The Austro-Hungarian delegation was being harangued by an artificer, or the Zulu Federation had built a replica village. Well, I want to head to Africa, so let's go for the Zulu Federation. Had built a replica village and brought a delegation of 400 diplomats and warriors, which was concerning the French soldiers, or made for a busy, impressive stand. Again, open-minded here. Above the display was a fine ferrotype of their great emperor, Ket Shaweo, in his palace in Ulundi. One of the young impy warriors dropped his fierce look. A little wooden automaton shaped like a bird. Ooh. What an interesting way to start a sentence. One of the young impy... See, we could get information out of him if he's dropped his fierce look. Although we might be able to find a way of travelling from this shaped bird thing. But it's only small. Let's go with the warrior. Dropped his fierce look and winked brightly at a passing child who erupted into shy giggles. One of his fellow soldiers caught me looking. You have made a powerful friend. I presume we're talking to the child when we say that. So, one of his fellow soldiers caught me looking and tilted his spear in my direction with a glare. I turned away hurriedly. Oh, hurriedly even. Crowds of tourists jostled and heaved past, their eyes wide with wonder. I headed towards the red and purple tents of the Artificers Guild. Well, we can go there now, we might as well. Draped with banners emblazoned with their copper lily sigil. A steam-powered automaton orchestra played gleaming brass instruments, or it had the most incredible display of machines. I'm interested in the machines. We'll go for the machines. As though a scrapyard had been brought to playful life. One of the artificers was explaining the guild's credo to a group of sticky-fingered children, or had his hands deep inside a human-shaped automaton. I am all for having my hands deep inside a human-shaped automaton, so we'll go with that. Rummaging through its clockwork innards, he took out a piece of engraved glass and peered at it with a jeweller's loupe. Dashed thing, he cursed in upper-class English tones, and then looked up. Oh, hello. I didn't mean to interrupt. What are you doing? Or I pointed at the shard. What is that? It's quite specific. I would rather know what he is doing. What? Oh. He waved the glass shard dismissively. I'm trying to build an automaton that can cook, you see, but it's not going well. He looked mournful. This one can't even fry a chip. Surely humans are perfectly capable of cooking, or how long have you been trying? Again, let's keep it open. How long have you been trying, I asked. It's been a dream of mine ever since I was a young lad at boarding school. It's why I became an artificer. The wistful tone dropped into horror. The things old Mrs. Parsons could do to a cabbage, the tender stomachs of Britain's youth would be much safer in mechanical hands. Perhaps they should simply hire French cooks. Do you cook yourself? Or smiled and left the man to his work. Well, let's pry. Let's pry. And we are a proud Frenchman, so perhaps they should simply hire French cooks, I suggested with a little wink. A French cook, eh? The artificer stroked his moustache thoughtfully. Good thought, old chap. Perhaps I'll go and find myself a cook to model my automaton on. The artificer smiled. I wished him well in his culinary endeavours, or I was rather sceptical of his ambition. We're in Paris. If you can't find a French chef in Paris, what chance does he have? So I wished him well. He was at least in the right city to find a cook, see? And returned to the centre of the exposition, ears ringing with the bombastic tunes of the steam orchestra. My feet were tiring, and the hour was growing late. 9 minutes to 12. I returned to Monsieur Fogg, who was eating a meal of plain boiled beef à l'anglaise. Did you enjoy the exposition? My master inquired diffidently, as though I had been out visiting an aged great aunt, having preferred a hearty meal and an English newspaper, and I nodded. Let's show enthusiasm to our master, as though I'd been visiting an aged great aunt, rather than witnessing all the wonders that the modern world had to offer. Oh. Oh, well, that wasn't quite... I thought he'd be happy to go and see his aged great aunt, but apparently not. Apparently not. Nothing else could possibly impress me now. We are unspeakably lucky to live in such an age of invention. Will we travel by airship, do you suppose? Or do you think we will encounter artificers on our travels? Let's try. We are unspeakably lucky to live in such an age of invention, I declared. It will certainly make it easier to win my wager, Monsieur Fogg replied mildly. Wager? I demanded. Indeed, I have staked a large sum that we will circumnavigate the globe in 80 days or less. Remarkable! 80 days or less. My life. Khartoum! So, because we've spoken to certain people, we open up certain routes on the map. That one was not picked well. That one was not picked well. We are very far away from Khartoum. And it's sort of in the middle of the country. We should have gone with Egypt. Boo. Oh well, we make these mistakes. So, let's see if we can depart. So, we can go to Amsterdam. It is heading in the wrong direction unless we go north. I think I'd rather hold off on this. Departs for Nice tomorrow at 9 o'clock. So it's only overnight. That's fine. We can do that. Is there anything else in the market? Just the wine. Do I take the wine? It's Copenhagen. We're not even heading in that direction, are we? No, we'll leave it. So one more night in a hotel. Thankfully, it's not too expensive. With what remained of the day, I made certain to repack and iron everything, or I went to stretch my legs. Now, this is usually what happens when there's nothing else to do. If you decide to repack and iron everything, you get a decent rapport with Phileas Fogg, and your relationship improves with him. If he's suffered damage along the way, one for a better word, or small injuries and his health has gone down, you can actually make that go higher by doing that. Or you can go out and explore the city you're in and hopefully open up more routes. So let's do that. I went to stretch my legs and succeeded only in having my pocket picked to the tune of £26. Bastards! You can't go anywhere these days. You can't go anywhere. But hey ho, we're going to go to Nice. It's going to cost us £110. The Riviera is only just becoming fashionable because of the train. We know that. Okay. We can take up to 5 suitcases on this one, but there's not much point. The guard's van has space for 5, and the travel looks like a bearable route. Let's do it then. The Pyrenees Express. Chew, and indeed chew. We boarded our train at Gare de Lyon, which had opened only the previous week. The ticket booths were all staffed by automata, or compared to leaving London, it was a calm affair. I'm interested in seeing what's going on. So, the ticket booths were all staffed by automata, and cylinder photographs installed throughout the station played phonographs. I do apologise. Installed throughout the station played La Marseillaise in triumph. We found a compartment and settled into plush seats with a complimentary glass of Providencial Rosé to grace the trip. Wow! I'll tell you what. This is only the first part, and I'm already struggling with words. This is going to be interesting. We French, we know how to travel. Or I raise my glass to Monsieur Fogg. Let's not boast too much. We'll raise our glass to Monsieur Fogg. He tipped his own glass towards me courteously, but left the wine within untasted until dinner was served. He's a classy guy. He's not going to ruin his palate before the food's come out. And here we can wait until we get to the end, or we can converse with people. This time around it's going to be with a... looks like a ticket inspector. Good afternoon, my name is Alfred Dumont. Begin conversation about Nice. I'm told the Riviera is only just becoming fashionable because of the train. I met a woman who designed parts for the Blue Line ferry from Nice to Rome. So there we go, we found out about a ferry. Right. How about Nice to Tunis? I presume that would be on the African coast. Is it possible to go from Nice to Tunis? Seems unlikely to me, but now listen, I've worked this line since it opened. We're seeing more famous people these days. Indeed? Is that so? Indeed, you and Monsieur Fogg are the most famous, of course. Oh, he's such a charmer. Let's ask about Nice. Do tell me more about Nice. Nice used to be quite run down, you know. Okay, so we can't go there. Dubrovnik sounds Russian to me, so we're not going to ask about that. Venice, well, we can see it on the map over here, so that's no good. Well, it could be good if we wanted to go in that direction, but we don't. What about Luxor? Where's Luxor? Is it possible to go from Nice to Luxor? Seems unlikely to me. Well, let's check out Venice. We never know. Is it possible to travel from Nice to Venice? Have you heard that you can pick up Carnival masks in Venice that will sell for a fortune in Bucharest? Yeah. Now, at this point, I could offer him some cracker biscuits, which will allow us to ask him more questions. He sounds a bit stupid, in all fairness. I'm saying stuff, and he's like, I like cheese. And yeah, it's nothing on point. So yeah, we won't worry about that. Cheese was a bad example, but you know, oh, the sun is hot. You know, stuff like that. He's a simple guy. Goodbye, simple person. So we can get to Rome. I'm hoping. Yeah, Tunis is down there. We should be able to find a ferry. If not, we'll go to Rome and then travel down south. The hours flew by, and I spent them in conversation or watching the scenery go by. Let's have it in conversation. Trying to gather information for our next leg. I met a charming French master who had a pleasant if unproductive conversation, or whom I quickly abandoned as knowing nothing. Again, positivity. We need positivity. We've only just started. We're only on day 4. We've got a lot of days left yet. So let's keep it pleasant but unproductive. That whiled the hours away. The train rattled on, arriving to Nice late in the evening. We stepped out to balmy autumn weather and a gentle murmur in the air. Ah, my friends, the sea! The character is now polished. Now, this comes up every so often, where you are certain descriptive words. I have no idea how that affects how people interact with you, but polished, it sounds good. You know, it sounds funky. So I will dig that. I will dig that. You're quite the flamboyant type, I see. Oh, thank you, Master. Thank you, Master. So, we're now in Nice. Everything's closed, which is a bit rubbish, but hey-ho. Let's get a hotel. We'll be able to have a walk around in the evening air. He says. The long pebble beaches of Nice were filled with Italians of one sort or another. A few protesting the loss of the city to France, or a few selling sweet pastries. Let's see what they're protesting about. And quoting Garibaldi with a great passion, I ignored them and took to the sea, or while I strolled along the promenade, and then retired early. I'm going to say I ignored them and took to the sea, thinking this might perhaps be my last chance to swim by choice, rather than, say, by the unfortunate sinking of some cockleshell craft in the Azores, or wherever we might end up. The water was warm and welcoming. I had a very enjoyable time until I returned to the shore to find my wallet no longer inside my shoes. Oh, I tell you what, this is not going well. I blame the nearby Italians, of course. I rolled my eyes, thinking of my master's frustration. or eyed the beach for likely suspects. I'm going to eye the beach for likely suspects. Probably not the best thing to do. I didn't think I was, I suppose I should have thought about it. I wasn't going to jump into the sea with all my clothes on now, was I? I eyed the beach for likely suspects and then noticed a young girl moving rather shiftily from parasol to parasol. Should we chase after her or should we stalk her? Let's stalk her until I saw her dip into another pile of discarded clothing. And then, dear friends, I pointed and shouted, I pounced like a cat. Oh, I took pity and leapt. I'm going to pounce like a goddamn cat. Knocking her rather painfully down onto the pebbles. I recovered far more than I had lost from what flew from her pockets, but she thought like a demon and got away. A family of holidaymakers gave me a look of horror before hurrying their small children in the other direction. I protested myself innocently of any indecency, or I brushed myself down. No, I'm not in the wrong here. I brushed myself down and tried to recover some dignity. A difficult task when one has sand in all sorts of undignified places. Right, now, I've probably mentioned this before. I frequent a place in the UK called Weston-super-Mare. I love it. It's my favourite place with my girlfriend. It's our home away from home. And there's a place just south of it called Breen, or Breen Sands, or Breen Down. It was where a lot of the speed tests were done back in the 1920s, and it's where the RAF used to practice their bombing runs before going off to do the bombing of the dams in Germany in the World War II. And it's a whole flat area, lovely golden white. I say golden white sand, white sand. Slightly janky at times, shall we say? But we have what's called Breen Bum, and you don't even have to sit down in the sand in order to get Breen Bum. For some reason, it just manages to creep up your shorts or your trousers or whatever you're wearing, and just managed to get right inside the orifice and cause you to scratch away merrily for the rest of the day. But hey, it's a memory. You've been to Breen. So there you go. There's a story for you. I brushed myself down and yes, I found a sailor to talk to. I approached one of the glitzy casinos. Do I want to spend the money? I think I'm going to talk to a sailor. He might be able to open up a more direct route to Africa. So I found a sailor to talk to and asked for advice about how we should proceed. He shrugged. There's cars to Venice and the boat to Rome. Depends where you want to go, of course. I agreed that was a salient point. Which would you recommend? Or we are going around the world? We are going around the world, I declared. He shrugged. Well, then you better go to Rome. There's airships there. Ah, awesome. I thanked him and moved along. Do I go into the casinos? It's been offered, isn't it? It'd be rude not to. I approached one of the glitzy casinos, thinking I could perhaps earn a little money, but it seems that Nice had gone up a long way in the world, and I was refused admission. Gentlemen and ladies only, the doorman said. No one of the lower classes. And where do the lower classes go to gamble? Or I had no time for his high standards. No, let's ask. He looked about him. I know a card game, he replied quietly, but the stakes are high. I gestured for him to tell me more. Why not? 500 to play, he said, down there. He nodded towards a set of basement steps leading to a service entrance under the casino. It seemed a dark and dingy place. I thought better of it. I thanked him and went below. It seemed a dark and dingy place with none of the glamour and glitz of the above-ground casino that had so drawn my eye. 500? I mean, so far we're in profit. We've got 271. So technically we're only losing £229 if we lose it. So let's do it. I thanked him and went below. The lair I found down there was, I will not describe at length. Suffice to say that the surly-looking clientele, men and women both, were sat around a stained table drinking rough whiskey as they played. Had the game been whist, I might have won. I ventured a hand or two. Sensibly, I did not play. I ventured a hand or two and was rapidly hustled into playing for longer. These fine fellows had clearly eaten the likes of me for breakfast in the past. I got out with my shirt still on, but £500 poorer. Still, I did at least learn that the most efficient way to Thessaloniki is through Rome. But it was perhaps the most expensive information I have ever earned. My feet were tired. I murmured my goodbyes to the sea. And I knew to France and returned to my master. Your funds have gone down significantly. Your character is now suave. Nice. So yeah, we lost a bill of moolah. I was willing to accept that. That's fine. So we can go to Venice. It looks like we're going to go to Rome. Can we travel to Rome right away? We can. Yep, let's go to Rome via the ferry. So we've only got the one suitcase. Ooh. Have we even been to the market yet? I don't think we have we? That's right. Let's go. It's here. Let's take it. And it's over the day as well. We boarded the Blue Line ferry, named after the successful train line through France, and found a place on its crowded stern to wave at the port as we departed. When I say we, I do not mean myself and Monsieur Fogg, of course. Or why do people stand at the back of the boat when it's departing and not the front? Yeah, that's it. That is interesting. It's sort of, you're trying to claim the past as opposed to embracing the future. Let's see what Passpartout has to say about it. I asked my companion, a young woman named Estelle, whom I had bumped into while hauling our case up the ramp. She smiled sweetly. I think, she answered in her gentle, slightly lisping tone, it is because of what happens should you fall off. I looked over the rail at the sea. You are most likely right, or I smiled thinly. Yeah, I suppose that makes sense. If you go over on the front, then you're going to have a big ship running over you. But one would have thought with the bow wave you'd be pushed aside. But I'm no ship expert. Let's have a look over the rail. Already foaming white from the churn of the propeller. I would not like to fall into that either. I think that's a wise thing to say. She said, but by the time you hit the water, the boat would have moved on. And then the wake would push you away. Hence, so long as you didn't break your neck, you'd be entirely unharmed. She seemed to have considered this in rather too much detail. The prospect did not sound appealing or a most reassuring thought. Yeah, that's a lot of detail. Are you considering your escape routes, mademoiselle? I inquired. She laughed pleasantly, but did not reply. Then the roll of the sea made me stumble. We would be aboard for just one night, and I hoped I would find my balance, especially when in such fine-looking company. Oh, he's such a suave guy. Let's see who else we can talk to. Oh. Greeting, Mademoiselle Estelle. Well, hello again, Monsieur. I'm very interested in Rome. The newly unified Kingdom of Italy is very powerful. So, can we get to Tunis again? I'm determined to be able to get to Tunis. Is it possible to go from Rome to Tunis? Surely that would not be possible, but tell me, perhaps a turn around deck. So I presume that means she wants us to walk around the ship with her. Why not? That would be delightful. The warm wind is so wonderful. So, Rome. I tend not to discuss such things. Oh, she must be a spy. Right. So, Dubrovnik, I think, is north of us. Meteora Valley. I think that is Meteora Valley. Alexandria, Krasnovodsk, or Khartoum. Khartoum's Africa, I believe. I'm sure I have no idea, but the most efficient way to Khartoum from here is through Alexandria. Right. So, Alexandria. What a question. Still, you can buy handheld mirrors in Alexandria. Extremely valuable in Suez. Give us some crackers. Right. So, where do we want to ask about? Alexandria, I guess. Or Khartoum? Alexandria. Yes, but the most efficient way to Alexandria from here is via Izmir. Okay. Where the bloody hell's Izmir? The Ottoman inventor Hayyan al-Safar died in Izmir. That's great. Where's Izmir? Well, I know Izmir. I know where Athens is. So, if we can get via Athens, that'd be good. I don't know, but you can buy busts of Apollo in Athens, and they will sell for a fortune in Saritsin. So basically, we found out absolutely nothing, is what you're trying to tell me. Also, Dubrovnik is there. Okay. Mademoiselle Estelle met me in the restaurant, taking the seat opposite. I have worked it out, she announced cheerfully. What have you worked out? I asked. Who you are. I know your secret. I was taken aback. Perhaps she had seen me during my days in the circus as a youth? Had we caused such a stir on our journey so far? Or I cannot fathom what you mean. Had we caused such a stir on our journey so far? It seemed most unlikely. She pulled out a copy of the Times. Here, she cried, folding it and lifting it to my attention. To my astonishment, it was a headline about our journey. Phileas Fogg attempts round-the-world adventure. I must have coloured. I shook my head. Why not? I embrace the fame. I must have coloured as she pointed a finger. I knew it was you, giddy with her discovery. She punched me on the arm. What an exciting adventure. Travel is most thrilling, I agreed. Especially now for me, she replied. Fancy me meeting Phileas Fogg himself. I paused. I opened my mouth to dissuade her, or I let it pass. I don't want to lie to her, but she did just punch me in the arm. I paused. You're more dashing than the story made out, she continued excitedly. Wait until I tell my mother. Do I come clean? I mean, Phileas Fogg. It's a very English sounding name. I'm sure, being from France, I have got a French accent. So, I'm going to let it pass. It's her mistake. It was a gentlemanly thing to do, and ironically, the thing I would have done had I indeed been Monsieur Fogg myself. Well, she said with a proud sigh, I'm sure you're in a hurry, so I won't keep you. I have nowhere to be. Yeah, she hasn't helped us that much. I have nowhere to be, I told her. And with gleaming eyes, she folded her hands and moved to sit beside me. Saying nothing more, enjoying, I fear, the simple experience of being starstruck. You know, I'm a dream maker. That's fine by me. Oh, I don't know if you noticed that, but our health for the old Phileas guy, he has well, he's probably taken a tumble. Maybe a little bit of seasickness. He's not too happy. He's lost 6 health, so we need to keep an eye on that. We arrived into Rome the next day, and I began to unload our case when the captain stopped me. New regulations, he insisted, ordered by the new Italian regime. I don't think I've got anything too untoward in there. I waved a hand for him to continue. Well, no, let's find out why. What regulations? You're travelling from England? Indeed so. The captain nodded. Then you are required to sign this disclosure of artificer's materials. He produced a long roll of paper which I began to look over when young Mademoiselle Estelle appeared. Monsieur Fogg, she cried. I pretended not to have noticed. I looked up and waved a hand. I quickly introduced my master to her. Let's ignore. And my master turned his head. Estelle reached us, cheeks flushed. I saw you were leaving, Monsieur Fogg, and without saying farewell. Awkward. I fear so. I stayed buried in the customs form. Monsieur Fogg, this is my friend, Mademoiselle Estelle. Let's keep winging it. Why not? I fear so. I began, but at the same moment, my master remarked, "Farewell, Mademoiselle." Mademoiselle Estelle took an uncertain step back, glancing between us. My master's sharp, aquiline profile, my own rounded Gallic features. Right, let's come clean. She didn't help us. I'm not going to feel bad about this. She helped us in no way whatsoever. She jibber-jabbered. That's what she did. Mademoiselle, you wish to meet Monsieur Fogg, I said, sympathetically. Here he is. She thought for a moment more than grinned. Oh, I understand, she said. Very good. I gave up. There was clearly no use in explaining, or I did not ask. I did not ask. She took it to herself, stretched up to peck me on the cheek, and then hurried away in some excitement. Monsieur Fogg glanced at me, and I completed the forms. I shrugged helplessly, and I smiled. Youth! Yeah, why not? Youth, I declared. He nodded a touch. Very good, he remarked. Boom. Bam, chicka, wow, wow. Bam, chicka, wow, wow. Pimp! And I think heading into Rome is a good place to leave this episode. So there we go. We are making our way around the world, although we have only made it down to Rome for the time being. We have only taken 6 days, but we shall end it here. So thank you for watching. As always, a like is appreciated, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take it easy.